What's going on, Orange Nation? This is Neil Adler with another episode of Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. Happy Thursday. How's everybody doing? Good week so far? Week's flying by. Week's flying by. We got Syracuse football on Saturday, and Syracuse basketball will be here before you know it. It's pretty cool. All right, so let's do some football stuff today. Some recruiting stuff. There's been a lot of stuff this week, and I've talked about it a little bit. Um, Amid the firing of James Franklin on Sunday and a bunch of Penn State verbal commits in the 2026 and 2027 classes have either completely decommitted or remained committed, but reopening their recruitment, so to speak. I don't know how you can be committed somewhere but have your recruitment reopened. But anyway, it doesn't really matter. But there's Syracuse ties because Syracuse is talking to some of these guys. And a bunch of them in 2026 and 2027 had offers from Syracuse back in the day. So we'll see how all that shakes out. But two guys I wanted to talk to in these first two segments. One is in this first segment, Messiah Mickens. He's a 2026 four-star running back, top 200 national prospect. Actually, I don't know if it was ESPN. He might even be like closer to like top 150. Top 15 running back. He plays at Harrisburg High in Harrisburg, PA. Obviously, Pennsylvania is in the Northeast, right in Syracuse's wheelhouse, so to speak. And he had a Syracuse offer back in the day. And Rivals this week, the recruiting service / media outlet, reported that so Messiah, sorry, I should back up. Messiah says he's committed for now, verbally committed for now. This is according to a post on X, but he's reopened his recruitment. So, take that for what it's worth. But Rivals is reporting that I think it was like 6 or 7 schools are in contact with Messiah, and some of them or all of them could look to do official visits with him, and one of them is Syracuse. So, that's interesting. He's a highly coveted running back in this class. Syracuse does have at least one running back verbally committed in its 2026 class, Deontay Sheffy, who I thought went to Harrisburg High, but when I was looking online, it looks like he might have transferred to a different school in Pennsylvania. In any event, hey, look, Messiah's a top 15 running back in the country. It would not surprise me if Syracuse wants to make a move. Plus, it's not like they can't have more than one running back in a class. I mean, that's just, So we'll see. We'll see what happens. He's got other big-time suitors. We'll see if he takes a visit to Syracuse. We'll see if he remains committed to Penn State. That's part of the thing. But there is so much going on with all these Penn State guys decommitting because they had, I don't remember exactly how many commits they had in their 2026 class because I don't care that much about Penn State, frankly. But I think it was a pretty large class, and it was a fairly highly ranked class. And again, it's in Penn State's in Pennsylvania, so a lot of the guys that they had verbally committed had Syracuse offers. So I'm definitely curious about how that's all going to shake out. So we'll keep an eye on Messiah, and in the next one, I want to talk about another 2026 guy. And so I confirmed this with a source of my own. But it was out there in other places. I think Rivals might have had it too, but I can confirm this myself. So Syracuse is talking to a 2026 three-star defensive lineman by the name of Isaac Chukwura. I'm so butchering his name. Chukwura, Chuk. I'm just looking at it. Wrah. Chukwura. Anyway, I confirm Syracuse is talking to Isaac, three-star defensive lineman. He goes to the Caravel Academy in Bear, Delaware. I will say Syracuse is pretty hard on Delaware these days, like in a good way. Like they're recruiting that state, pretty extensively. And if I'm not mistaken, a couple guys from the 2026 class for Syracuse verbal pledges are from Delaware. And it's not in the DMV, but it's not far away. So I mean, it's anyway. So I confirm Syracuse is talking to him. We'll see how that, and kind of like with Messiah, Isaac is like said in a X post. When was that? 3 days ago, October 13th, that he's as of then, 3 days ago, was committed to Penn State, but he's reopening his recruitment due to the uncertainty. And I get it. I do. These guys committed to Penn State, I'm sure, in large part because of Franklin. So anyway, one article I came across, I think it was on Rivals. Other schools he's looking at included, he's got some offers, newer offers, but some of the other schools that are talking to him, Miami, North Carolina, Maryland, Rutgers, Michigan State, etc. So, he's a 3-star defensive lineman. We'll see if he remains committed to Penn State. If I had to put money on it, I'd say no, just like I would for Messiah, because James Franklin is gone. But we'll see. We'll see. But it's cool that Syracuse is taking a look. Syracuse right now they had a guy decommit the other day. So they have, I think, 28 verbal pledges now in the 2026 class, and it's ranked like just inside the top, I think like number 26 overall at 24/7 Sports Composite. So it's a nice looking class for Syracuse. And if they get a few of these other guys and hang on to the guys I've been talking about ad nauseum, like Calvin Russell, then it's going to be a top 25 class, which would be the highest in the modern recruiting era for Syracuse. So we'll move on. And I came across, and kudos to, I think it was Brent Axe. I should have probably looked that up. Someone from Syracuse.com. I think Brent Axe had the piece. They're all good reporters over there. I like those guys. But he had like a piece about like some different quotes that he heard on practice after one of the practices earlier this week ahead of the Pittsburgh game. And I thought there was some cool stuff in here. And the main takeaway was, this team, even though they've lost 2 straight, and Steve Angeli is not the quarterback, and there's uncertainty about Ricky Collins because he's struggled some, but it's not like he's the only one on the team that struggled. But it seems like the players they're not giving up on the season. I wouldn't expect them to, especially with Fran Brown as their head coach. But also, they're 3-3. If Ricky turns it around and they cut down on their turnovers and the defense gets more consistent, they could win 6-7 games. I'm not saying they're going to run the table, but they could win some games. Why not? Sure. Anyway, Ricky Collins had some interesting things to say. He said, the bye week was helpful. We learned about ourselves as a team outside of football, got closer. We learned when we play fast and have fun, it's like we're in the backyard again. We play better. He talked about sharpening his timing with his wide receivers, and he said it was definitely needed. See, the one thing I love about Ricky is he's like very self-aware, and he seems like a good human being, because when Steve went out over him, and Jelly, that is, he was like, that's my brother, and I'm happy for him. And when he got hurt, he was like, this is killing me right now. It's crushing. Like he's genuinely seems like a good human being. And he's admitted, I got to cut down on turnovers and get my timing with the receivers better, make better decisions, blah, blah, blah. So, and he acknowledged, he said, look, quote, I play a little different than Steve Angeli. Any quarterback, the ball comes out different. Just for them, the receivers, to see that and have conversations about it, get on the same page, that was good. So, okay, I think he's going to have a better game. I do. I'm not saying Syracuse is going to win. I'm still on the fence. I think I might pick Syracuse to win. On Inside the Loud House, I actually did pick Syracuse to win, but we'll get to that later. And then Luke Carney had some good quotes, kind of like when Collins was number 2 to Angeli, and Collins was saying all the right things. Carney's doing the same thing, and he's a true freshman. He'll get his time. And he said something like asked about the dynamic in the quarterback room, and he said, look, we spent a lot of time together. We're brothers. We don't want to see anyone fail. We're always here for each other. This is a good quote. I would just say it's easy to have each other's back when you spend that much time with each other. Like, this team has like good culture in terms of like togetherness, brotherhood, just like have each other's backs. I like that. I like that a lot. And then he also said, look, I'm confident in what I can do, and I'll be ready to go if something happens, but I just want to help out the team and help. And he said this at the end. He said, try to do my job and elevate those around me. Yeah, it's great. It's great. And then Devin Grant, the senior defensive back, he talked about Ricky, and he said, look, Ricky's always smiling. I call him the Louisiana Bull. I like that. He's always smiling, laughing at practice, off the field. So when you see that, it keeps him in good spirits. You want to see that. You don't want to see your quarterback down in the dumps. It's been hard, but that's what happens when you lose two back to back. So when you bounce back, we're just telling him we got him no matter what. They got his back, and Fran Brown said that he's their quarterback. So okay, cool. I like it. I like it. Um, and then there was another cool thing. I like this from Gary Bryant, the linebacker. So I didn't 100% remember this, but he's currently leading the Syracuse in total tackles. And he was asked about that. And he said, look, it's nice, but I try not to focus on just my personal stuff because we aren't doing the best right now. So I'm trying to focus on the defense, how we can improve as a whole. We continue in the work. And that kind of like sums it up for me. I mean, everyone wants like to succeed individually and have personal accolades or whatever. And I'm sure, yeah, you'd think it'd be cool if he if he led the team in tackles this year. Sure, that'd be great for him. But they're coming together and they're just trying to right the ship, turn the season around. They lost 2 games. So what? I mean, they were bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but the season's not over. All these people, all these other fans, the season's over. Fran Brown's going to Penn State. Ricky Collins isn't D. Well, shut up. Just shut up. Like, sorry, I'm getting a little ranting and raving today. Because I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, if you don't think Ricky is good enough, fine. But, like, don't trash him. Don't personally attack him. Like, we'll see. We'll see. As I said, I think a couple days ago on Syracuse Central, if the Orange coaching staff thought that Luke was the guy that would get them have a better chance of winning games right now, he'd have already been in. Just being honest. And Fran Brown did say the other day that Luke is ready, so to speak. But he said Ricky's our guy. So we're going to roll with Ricky. So that's what's going to happen. Anyway, I feel like maybe I'm just being orange-colored glasses, SU alum, all that crap. But I feel like they're going to win this week on Saturday. I don't know. They've been on a bye. Things were kind of, but it's Saturday. It's homecoming. There's going to be a flood of recruits and verbal commits in the house. They're going to be amped up. I feel like Ricky's had good practices, and Pittsburgh's a good team. They're 4-2. They've won 2 in a row. They beat Florida State on the road. But all I gotta say is that hopefully Ricky doesn't do what Kyle did last year. Kyle McCoy. I've never seen something like. What did you all think of that? I mean, sorry, that's a stupid question. What did you all think of that game? It was a disaster. They got their butt kicked. What was it, 41-13 or something like that? But like, Kyle had such a great year, but he threw 5 interceptions and 3 pick sixes. Like, I thought I was in the Twilight Zone. That was the weirdest SHIT stuff ever. I can't curse on this, can I? I don't know. I don't want to get fired. That was like the weirdest stuff ever. It was crazy. But then didn't they win 5 of their last 6 or something like that? They beat Miami, they won the bowl game. They had one more loss, right? Was that Boston College was after that on the road? Anyway, whatever. I'm totally rambling now. It's cool. I like to ramble. But I feel like this team is going to, I'm not saying they're going to put it all together and go 9-3 in the regular season. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think they're going to beat Pittsburgh. There, I said it. So say Neil Adler, you're a total moron if you think I'm a moron. But speaking of that, we'll wrap up here. I love this show. This is so fun. So they're 3-3, and after every week, and they obviously had a bye this past weekend, but after every week, there's bowl projections from On3 and ESPN and CBS Sports and Athlon Sports and USA Today and all these other places, blah, 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 blah. And I actually came across one where Syracuse was projected to be in a bowl game. And that was from ESPN, one of the dudes there, the Birmingham Bowl in Birmingham, Alabama. Heck yeah, Syracuse versus Auburn. Cool. Look, if Syracuse gets to a bowl game, it probably ain't going to be like a super amazing one because I can't, not to be like a Debbie Downer or negative, and I'm not negative if you know me from Syracuse Central or Inside the Lighthouse or wherever, but I'm pretty upbeat about my alma mater. But look, okay, so the remaining schedule, Pitt, and this isn't chronological because I don't remember anything, but Pitt at home, BC at home, North Carolina at home on Halloween, on the road, Notre Dame, which is faring better, and their only two losses were to top five teams. At Miami, which is undefeated in number 2. At Georgia Tech, which is undefeated in number, what are they, 12, 13 this week? But North Carolina stinks. Boston College stinks. Georgia Tech wins a lot of close games. I do not see Syracuse going to Notre Dame and winning, and I do not see Syracuse going to Miami and winning. Even though they beat Miami last year, it was at the Dome, and they had Kyle McCord. And again, I'm just being real. So, that's 2 losses right there. 3-3, that'd be 3-5. 4 other games. So out of those 4 other games, BC, North Carolina, Georgia Tech, and Pittsburgh. Is there 3 wins in there? That would get them to 6-6, so they get a bowl. Is there 3 wins? Most people, and I see other people online or chat rooms or whatever, would the logical thing would be, yeah, they got to win out at home. All right, I think Pittsburgh is like a good barometer right now because they're coming in. They've won 2 straight. They're a good team. They're not an amazing team, but they're a good team. They're, at least so far. Then again, last year they were undefeated when they beat Syracuse, and then they lost didn't they lose 5 in a row or something, or 5 out of 6 at the end of the year? But they're solid, and they got a true freshman quarterback, but he's playing well. So, but if Syracuse can win that game, and let's say Ricky Collins starts playing better, and the defense, just the whole thing comes together a little bit, then I'm not saying you got tons of momentum, but okay, you're 4-3. You snap that 2-game skid. You feel a little bit better about your quarterback. Maybe the defense is a little more consistent. I think they're going to beat North Carolina. I hope they stop. This whole Bill Belichick experiment is such a freak show circus. It's absurd. And and he was an NFL legend, but he wasn't that good when Tom Brady left. But dude, he's a great coach. But all the nonsense with his girlfriend and all the other crap, it's just, and him and the school had to put out statements last week because all these reports about getting booted out maybe. But it's just and they just stink on the field. So I think they'll win that game. Syracuse. I think Syracuse will beat Boston College. So if they could just get past, I'm going to leave it at this. If they could just get past Pittsburgh, they're going to get to a bowl, I think. And I also think, I don't know, if they're playing better, they got Georgia Tech. I'm pretty sure Georgia Tech is the weekend after this one. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is because it's the 25th. If they beat Pittsburgh, I feel like they'll have a little, granted the Georgia Tech game's on the road, but if they beat Pittsburgh and the defense plays better and Collins plays better, Georgia Tech's been in a lot of close games. I'm not saying they're going to win in Atlanta, but I'm saying maybe. Anyway, beat Pittsburgh, take care of home games, take care of business at home. Home business? What is home business? I have a business and I work from home. I guess that's home business. But beat Pittsburgh and then take care of those other 2 games at the Dome, and I think they're going to get into a bowl. And it just would be nice to play solid, and even if they end up 6-6 and get into a bowl and play a team like Auburn, who could end up firing their head coach, Hugh Freeze, because they're in a tailspin right now. But, get to 7-6. All things considered, solid year. Keep that 2026 recruiting class intact. Do well in the portal. Sky's the limit in the future. All right, I'm done. I'm Neil Adler with Syracuse Central on the Fan Arch Network. Drop me comments about how I say nothing that makes sense, and tell me what you want to hear about in the next episode. Most importantly, I guess I'll probably do football on Friday, but I don't know. Basketball is getting so close. Do you want to hear more about basketball? Do you like recruiting in both sports? I mean, I like the recruiting stuff, but I can't ignore the actual teams. So tell me what you want to see or hear or whatever. I appreciate your support. Have a great rest of your Thursday. I will see you again tomorrow on Friday, friends. Take care.